So welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we shine light on stories and strategy of blue collar entrepreneurs and trade people building success with their hands and with grit. Today I'm joined by Emmanuel Manny Skevofilax, a consultant, speaker, and author who has been helping business owners maximize their profits and overcome growth challenge since 2023 since 2003. Manny specializes in strategic planning, financial analysis, and guiding business owners towards sustainable growth. He's he's here to share practical wisdom that can help every entrepreneur, so whether you are running a small business, trade business, or scaling something much bigger. Manny, it's a privilege to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Aro. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Manny, what was it like growing up for you?
Well, my parents were born in Greece on an island in the southeast Aegean.
Wow.
So they immigrated to America after World War II. They didn't know each other back on the island. They actually met here. So we grew up, with a different indoctrination, if you will. The people on that island, it's called Karpathos, is a story of survival. They survived in the middle of nowhere and they did everything by hand.
Wow.
Grew their own food, made their own homes. I visit and I go and check out all the ruins. I mean, it's an amazing place, but very poor. So they had to, if you were able, because back then you needed a sponsor to come to the United States, and if you were willing to take the risk, you came to America. So my parents came here, they got married, and eventually they got into the restaurant business because that's what a lot of Greek people like to do, like to be their own boss, and that restaurant gives them the avenue to be their own boss and to get away from labor because they were trading time for their labor for money. My mother was a seamstress, and
Oh,
my
wow.
father was a stonemason by trade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That is two
Mhm.
different kind of hard job to actually more like get by from that. That of from it requires a whole level of dedication to
Uh-huh.
actually more like come through this particular trade. So while growing up, did you actually more like get to do some part of this job, ranging from what dad does and what mom does? Did you actually have any experience working with them?
Oh, yeah. So I started working with my father in the restaurant when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
And it's funny because people are like, 10 years old? What are you kidding me? Well, today, right now, as we speak, my friends have their, 3-year-old, son working, learning the restaurant business. He's actually
Wow.
sauteing shrimp in a pan. I wasn't doing
Wow.
that when I was 10 years old. I was making sandwiches. So you learn things at a young age, right? You
Yeah.
learn math, right? How much should we sell this sandwich for? You learn about how to purchase. You learn about how to take care of customers. You get a lot of interesting lessons very early in life. And Greeks are very hard workers. So it's instilled in you from an early age. You don't want to be lazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so true. I think it's really quite amazing because um that is more like such a practical way of actually getting to learn things in terms of months, in terms of a whole level of calculation, because now you are not just more like yeah, just passing through the root system alone where you just cram things for the fact of knowing sake, but now you are seeing the real application of this particular thing in real world. For a
Mhm.
child, as much as to the outside world it might look as though it's cruel, it's very fascinating because there's a whole level of fun that comes with you doing those recurring stuff. You're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm just having fun. So
Yeah.
yes, I could remember a particular kid. I could remember a particular kid. I think she would be around 4 or 5 years old when I went to a particular space to go and paint one day, and she just walked down to me and said, "Uncle, I want to have fun. You are having fun painting.
Hmm.
I want to have fun." I was like, "This is not actually fun." She was like, "I want to have fun." I gave her a brush and She was actually doing it so passionately, and when her dad actually arrived, she went to daddy, I did that. Daddy said, no, you can't do it. I was like, daddy, she actually did it. The sense of joy in her face was so much. I couldn't just contain my joy. I was just laughing. I was like,
Uh-huh.
wow, this is really, this is really amazing. So I
Yeah.
feel there's a whole lot of values in work, and it's actually more like add a whole lot in terms of growing up compared to just growing up without learning in happy hands. More like, yeah, I feel it's very, very amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we grew up in America, but we were raised with the customs of ancient Greek customs that are still practiced to this very day on this Greek island.
Wow,
You know?
wow, amazing, amazing. So, were there any job that you did before becoming a consultant that shaped your understanding of money, of business, and people?
Yeah, definitely. I spent 19 years in the restaurant business before I
Yeah.
changed careers. So that was, and you learn from customers too, because your customers work in different places. They work in
Yeah.
banks, they work at the port, they work in manufacturing companies. So you're constantly having conversations all day long with different people. And also my parents insisted that we finish our education because they
Hmm.
didn't have a chance to because the war interrupted their schooling.
That's cool.
So they were big on us to go to school and get any kind of degree.
Wow, that was really amazing and very
Hmm.
encouraging. So you have worked with different kind of businesses since 2003. What
Yeah.
similarity do you notice between small blue collar businesses and larger company when it comes to financial struggle?
Yeah, it seems like there's not enough cash, a constant struggle to chase cash when you're trying to grow. That seems to be the common denominator.
Oh wow, trying to chase cash. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel at the end of the day, both bigger business and smaller business, their goal is to make profit.
Hmm.
And when there's not a lot of it to go around, that is where the struggle comes in. And because a whole
Yeah.
lot of business actually get to fold up owing to the fact that there's not much cash in the circulation. And you just make reference of it, just speak volume that is a common denomination between that of the bigger business and even that of the small. So, in your experience, what is the most common mistake business owner make when trying to grow too fast?
Um, they add overhead expenses too fast. It is a lot easier, RO, to add an expense than it is to generate revenue, right?
Yeah,
So, for example, maybe you're hiring new people in anticipation of this, you know, new sales growth, or you're going into a bigger office space before you get these new revenue. It's a lot easy. It's very easy to increase your expenses in a short period of time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
generating revenue is more difficult.
yeah. So true, so true, so true. I think it actually really speaks volume. But in the real world today, also where people think that it's good to actually start big, package what you do in a very fancy way, and yeah, work on different things in respect of branding and everything, even if the overhead cost is very, very much. So where did we actually more like peg the balance between trying to actually more like do things in a fancy way, uh, yeah, and still more like staying grounded to where your current level is without blowing up the particular cash flow you're actually having? Where should the balance be?
I think you hit the nail on the head with your comments. Go slow. Here in America, we glamorize these big things and fancy and fast. Well, that's great. As human beings, we like that stuff. But when it comes to business, the tortoise ends up beating the hare in the race. You go slowly at a measured pace, but that's not fun, right?
Yeah,
it's like your niece painting, For
yeah,
you it wasn't fun, for her it was fun, right?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing. I think what you just said just speak volume because um it just dawned on me the fact that every business endeavor is more like taking a risk, and you don't know whether it will work. You don't know how fast it's going to
Mhm.
scale. So taking a step at a time is very, very key in observing what
Yeah.
works and what doesn't work. because at the end of the day, when once one actually sees from this particular perspective, it remove the burden of trying to prove a point, which make a whole lot of business actually fail towards impressing who they don't even want to impress, instead of
Mhm.
focusing on what the cash flow is actually more like delivering, compared to what people feel and what people will say. Yeah, thank you so much, Manny. Um,
Yeah.
in your experience, what is the common mistake? Um, Sorry, you talk about 8 common growth mistake. Could you actually
Sure.
share some couples of a couple that trade people and small business owners should watch out for?
Sure. Number one on that list is going to be growing too fast,
Okay.
right? So you're setting unreasonable growth goals for yourself. For example, let's say you wake up one day and you want to double the revenue size of your company in a year.
Yeah.
So for you, it might be a reasonable goal. Um, for me, it might be completely unreasonable. So anytime you hear of, I want to grow by 100% or 50% this year, that can, for most people, is unreasonable
Yeah.
unless you're in the technology field and your customers are online and you can onboard these eyeballs, quickly with
Yeah.
less human beings. That would be the first one.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
The second one would be something that we refer to as shiny new toy syndrome. When you get a new toy and
Hmm.
it's nice and shiny and it bothers your focus. So you set a plan and you say, I'm going to try to do this, achieve this goal in the next 90 days. But as you're working, all of a sudden something catches your eye. It's this shiny new toy and it distracts you. It distracts you from completing the plan. I see this every day. It distracts you from completing the plan that you laid out. So you have to be very careful to not let the shiny new toys get in your way.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay.
Another one is this is my personal hot button. You work very hard every month, and before you know it, the month's over. You're getting ready to start a new month, and you don't stop to review your financial results. So you can see, hey, how did I do this month? Did I make money? Number one. Did I come close to what I planned? Did I exceed my plan? Business owners are so busy that they don't stop at least once a month to review the performance of their business. And if you stop for an hour once a month, you could probably catch some negative trends before they can really take root.
Wow. 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 Amazing. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Wow. That was
Yeah.
There was a whole lot to actually learn from this particular one. I like it. It a whole lot. I think it's the fact that sometimes it's even the little thing that actually even speak volume in growing a business, especially the fact when you make reference of the fact that they don't spend time to look at the accounts, look at what work and what doesn't work. And yeah, I think that is a very, very big issue, being that as little as it might look like, there are trends that might actually more like there are patterns that might keep revealing itself over and over and over again. And being that you
Mhm.
didn't examine it, what you didn't examine, you won't figure out. And when you didn't figure out, you keep more like being plagued by that same particular system
Mhm.
recurrently. And also, when you make reference of new to it, it amazing. Speak volume to what a whole lot of young entrepreneurs actually dive into these days. And
Mhm.
yeah, losing focus on what the goal is and actually more like chasing cloud and doing other things that doesn't speak volume towards sustainability and growing of the particular business. Yeah, you
Right.
measured 3 points and there's still five remaining.
Oh, sure. I got plenty. The next one would be hiring and keeping the wrong people for the job. So we
Ooh.
have an old saying here: to hire slow and fire fast.
Hmm.
So history has shown that there's nothing worse than a bad hire. You work very hard to build the business. You've brought on some employees. Everyone's getting along. Everybody understands the strategy. Things are going well. And then you make a bad hire. And what happens is we tend to keep the people on longer than we should. And that can spoil the efforts of the other people.
Yeah.
So instead, we should be looking to, try to redeploy that person somewhere else in the organization. That's what I like to do. But if it's not working out, it's not working out. So you
Yeah.
don't want to hurt the overall progress by keeping the wrong person in the job.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Hiring slowly and
The
actually
wrong people,
firing
yeah.
fast. Wow.
Hire
This is
slow and fire
amazing.
fast. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that's an old saying. All right. The fifth one would be running excessive overhead. We kind of touched on that with our
Yeah.
earlier comments. It is really easy. You were saying something about fancy, right?
Yeah.
So you go and rent an office space and you put a bunch of expensive furniture in there and stuff like that. And you get to start making monthly payments. But as I mentioned, it's a lot easier to um, bring on an expense, right, than it is to bring on the revenue. So running excessive overhead can be a mistake. You have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Running excessive overhead. I think this really
You know,
key. I think running this should be from the perspective of your goals are being met, a lot of profit are coming in, and then you can now measure what to spend on, not just spending without actually even checking the book.
yeah, that's very well said. You know,
Wow. Wow.
the sixth one is um, not having enough cash, right? So you want to grow, but it takes cash to grow. So you don't have what we call enough working capital in your company. You know exactly how much your expenses are going to be every month. That's easy to calculate, but you don't know how much revenue you're going to generate in any given month if you're in a transactional business model. So the object of the game is to go slow, be profitable, and don't spend all of the profits.
Yeah.
Keep some of those profits in the company and use that capital to help finance your growth.
Wow. Keep
Mm-hmm.
that cash that help financially. So it's more like gaining more profits from your business and yeah, working towards it to reinvest in the particular business so that you can keep
Exactly.
growing other than actually more like
Yeah.
getting more overhead compared to what is being needed. Amazing.
Yeah. But here's what happens. You want to take more money home, right? Because you have responsibilities at the
Yeah.
house, right? And you increase your lifestyle at the house, and that gets in the way of you being able to grow the business.
Yeah, so true, so
And
true.
we have another saying, another old saying: a business can buy a house, but a house can't buy a business. Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Right?
Profound. Yeah,
Right?
thank you.
So sure. So I
Yeah,
think that
thank
was
you.
six of them. Seven
Yes.
and eight are interesting. So seven is not testing the market. So what does that really
Mm.
mean? Right? So do your best to go and talk to your customers and see what they like before you make some random decision on what you're going to sell, either service wise or product wise. Your customers know, once you start getting some traction, ask them, hey, we're doing this successfully. What else, would you like to see from me? what are some ways you think I could add some additional value? So testing the market before you go and make a big financial bet on something that's not proven.
Yeah.
It's a very easy way to help you avoid a mistake. Test the market. And
Yeah.
then the last one is really difficult, really difficult. Underpricing. So you're
Mhm.
not charging enough. And a lot of things get in the way, and a lot of them are mental. You know, you have to know your value. So, if you're in a commodity business, it's different, right? Let's say you're in the
Mhm.
gas business. Gasoline is available on every corner. It's a commodity,
Yeah.
right? You're not going, there's only a certain price that you can charge. Now, in different businesses, service and product, you have to do your best to compete on value. What is the value that you're providing? So when you underprice, you're leaving money on the table that you'll never get back.
So
And
true.
that's a
So true.
lesson I had to learn the hard way. you know, I learned the
Yeah.
hard way.
Yeah. I think that's actually very more like weird because more time, especially the fact that you make reference of a whole lot about pricing and values, especially when it comes to service. And yeah, it's mental based because I could remember struggling with that particular effect. When I priced, my mind would be like, "What, do you have to price? Do you have to take that very much?" So there were a whole lot of mental models that was ingrained that
Mm-hmm.
actually more like shape pricing and everything. And I think owing to the course of discussion, I will definitely still bring that up again. So many of my audience uh, uh bootstrap their business rather than seek investor. What advice do you have for managing growth when funding is limited?
Yes, that's the way it is. Go slow. Make sure that every customer is profitable, right? So you got one profitable customer, go and get the second profitable customer and the third. Do not take on a piece of business just because you need to keep busy
Hmm.
if you're not making the margin that that you need to be able to run a successful and sustainable business.
Wow.
Go slow, make sure it's profitable because it's really easy. It's really easy to do unprofitable jobs, especially if you're a contractor, you know,
Woo!
especially.
So
Yeah.
true. So true. So true. I think this is amazing. This just quenched the urge of performing much without getting a whole lot of yes, a whole lot of feedback in terms of profitability and
Yeah.
every other stuff. Rather stick to the blueprints of what the little things you offer and let it be profitable. Rather than doing much, at the end of the day, you get overwhelmed and still there is no much coming handy, and there is no, rather than getting profitability, you are constantly investing what you really even have
Yeah.
on doing more, whereas there's not much coming into being. Yeah, that was profound. That is often a temptation when business hits tough time. From your perspective, when is taking on debt wise? When is it dangerous?
Hey, that's a great question. Something that we struggle with every day here in America. So let's say you have a manufacturing business, or let's go back to the contractor example.
Yeah,
So let's say you're like a plumber. Well, you know exactly how much it costs to keep one truck on the road, right? How many guys you need, how much inventory you have to keep. So you know exactly how much it would cost you to get the second truck on the road. So if you have the business and you know that, so you're like really busy, you don't have enough time to get to all the the deals that you have, the
yeah,
quotes that you're giving, and you know that you can support the growth. That is a good time to go and borrow money to buy that truck. Okay, because
yeah,
that's going to help you go and fulfill those new customers that are coming on. Or if you have a manufacturing business and you have the opportunity to buy a machine, and that machine could help you make just 10
Yeah.
times more than it's going to cost you, that is great. What you don't want to be doing is taking on debt that really doesn't help you in the business, right?
Yeah. Amazing. I think this is more like a profound way of actually even saying it because
Mhm.
this boils down to the fact that you sit down with your business once every month to actually look at what bring in the profit, what you can scale fast to actually more like gain more margin, and things you can actually put in place to gain more leverage. And you actually make reference of debt from this particular perspective. I think it's even ideological, being that you are going to gain more if you could actually more like from those recurring costs, you discover that if I can borrow money to actually more like even get more leverage in this end in terms of getting tools or actually more like putting things away to make work faster or deliver faster or get it in bulk, more
Yeah,
quantity and everything. It's yeah, I think that give you a whole lot of leverage in doing what you do. Being that what you are doing is more like investing in the future term, being that you already see how the scope of the business is compared to just lavishly doing things which doesn't add more
right.
to the actual cost.
That's a great word. Lavishly. So when you grow your business and you become more successful and you've watched your profitability and you've got cash, go ahead and be lavish, right? If you want to, there's nothing stopping you. But if you're lavish in the beginning, you're making it more difficult on yourself to gain traction and run a successful company.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
So you have seen business that were once profitable becoming unprofitable because of
Yeah.
growth. How can small business avoid this trap?
You know, let's take the contractors again. If you're adding new people, so you're a contractor, plumber, HVAC,
Yeah,
electrician, construction, whatever. You have an equation that you're using when you go to quote the customer, right? So
yeah,
the customer wants to put the, electricity in a house. You have an equation that you use to determine how much to charge them.
yeah,
Well, if you underestimate the expenses that you have because you're not keeping track of the hiring, you're not keeping track of the expenses that you're taking on at the office, then the equation is not going to be giving you the math that you need. So that happens a lot because we're going back to your first example about the painting.
yeah,
For the little girl, the painting was fun, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
for us, the painting is boring.
yeah,
Going over the cost equation again and again and again is boring. But, it's the most important part,
yeah.
or
So
else
true.
you work for nothing,
Yeah,
right?
so true, so true. Yeah, I think what you just make reference of here is the fact that a whole lot of business actually more like who was profitable lose focus on what they even came there to do, and in quotes they want to have fun.
Uh-huh.
They actually either they want to have fun or they lose focus on what the main thing of the main thing is, and owing
Yeah,
to that, why they actually more like giving expenses, writing out budget, they miss out a whole lot of stuff, and at the end of the day,
yeah,
uh, what the margin of the profit should be is now what is being reinvested in getting the job finished or done without even
hmm,
seeing where they actually comes in and how they even get paid. I think this really speak
exactly.
volume.
Yeah, it's very well said. Hmm.
Yeah, thank you. For painters or little business or plumber or contractor and those other business, what is one financial practice they could actually
Oh,
implement
practice.
today?
Okay.
Yes, to stay profitable.
That's a great question. Um, Review your pricing equation every Friday,
Woo!
every week. You don't want to be going out and quoting, uh, maybe you missed an expense or something because it's hard. We're human. You didn't,
Yeah,
review that every week. So when I used to, I had some other contractor clients, and of course, growing up Greek, they do all the math in their head.
yeah,
Okay. They don't use pencil and paper. All
yeah,
right. So that's when I knew these guys are good because they've got it all memorized
Wow.
and they're able to just do it from their head. So that is the most important thing is, review your costing every week, and make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. I
You
think the
know?
fact that just reviewing it, um, after some time, it will make it something that is more of a something unconscious, being that you have done it over and over and over again. So at every decision you are now making, your mind is already reading, how does that actually fit in when I'm about to review this? Being that it's something you regularly do compared to if you just leave it out and you didn't get to actually put this into practice. I think this is really, really key because it will open you up to the bottom line of what is working and what is not working and what you could actually do
Yeah.
different to stay profitable. Yeah, thank you, Manny.
Yeah. Let me share this real quick.
Okay.
When I started, there was no, you had to do everything with pencil and paper. Okay. I was learning from people that weren't using pencil and paper. Okay. They were doing
Yeah.
it in their heads. I was the dummy that needed the pencil and paper. Okay. But
Yeah.
eventually I learned because I didn't want to be the only guy using pencil and paper. Eventually I learned to do it in my head. However, now we have the benefit of software.
Yeah.
There is bid software and it's not expensive. It is very economical. So if you're a contractor, the number one investment to make is in some bid software. You can
Yeah.
just plug the numbers in.
Yeah. I think it's really, really very, very key that as per every contractor and late small business, you get to familiarize yourself with those tools that are coming up in terms of bidding, in terms of various other stuff, because it's sharpen your sense of accuracy and being able to kind of yeah, do much, yeah, gain more ground to being that your clients can actually
Mhm.
more like trust you, the fact that you're accurate, you deliver sharp, and you don't, yeah, you don't busy around uh, figuring things with your, well, like trying to kind of reason it with your head, which sometimes can be very, very demanding, and sometimes there can be some mistake that actually comes with it. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So you actually mentioned the importance of realistic goal. How can small business owner set goals that inspire growth without over extending themselves?
Oh, that's another great question. So a lot of people like the thrill. Okay, they like the action. So everybody's different. For you, Aro might say, I can grow this business by 50% this year, and you've got the temperament for it. Okay, you're calm, you're not stressed. Where
Yeah,
Manny might be a little high strung. Okay, and you know not as calm as you are, and 50% might be a big leap. So every business is different. I can't give you one
yeah,
percentage, right? But I can tell you that you have to grow your company because times have changed.
yeah,
Every expense when you own a business is going up,
yeah,
right? Your labor cost, your energy cost, right? Your insurance cost. So
yeah.
you have to grow in order to maintain your margins and be successful.
Wow, this is amazing. And also another question that just come to mind: when setting goals and when actually more like reaching out to your goal, um, what should be the balance between setting goals and being realistic? Because when it comes to setting goals, sometimes maybe owing to the various success stories you have had around you and everything, it can so much influence your what you perceive as the quoting goal you actually want to reach out to. Maybe not necessarily having the structures, not necessarily having all the things in terms of margin. So I'm just making reference of what should be the margin in terms of how you actually more like, despite you're actually willing to do more in setting of this particular goal, but there is this balance that, yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't sound as though you are frustrated, being that you want to knock on every door, which does not yield
Mm-hmm.
profit, or into you just want to actually more like be up there. So what should be more like the margin, the balance?
I can share with you my experience.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we have something in Greece that says, if you chase all the rabbits, you're not going to even catch one, right?
Ooh. Yeah,
Okay. So you got to be focused, and the answer, by the way, is different, right? It's different for
yeah, yeah,
everybody. But you got to be focused. And then what responsibilities do you have? Are you married? Do you have children?
yeah,
Because that's going to require some of Aro's time.
yeah,
If you're single and young, you can go chase customers and chase sales all day and night. But that's going to be, in my experience, a key factor in your decision. I only have this much time to dedicate to the sales effort and running the business. You know.
yeah. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for this. I think you just
Mhm.
speak to the volume to why setting goes to why doing that. I think why you were just explaining it just struck me that yes, choosing your niche and narrowing it down to who are your customer, who do you want to serve, even speak volume in terms of gaining the desired results faster and better compared to just
Yeah.
chasing every rabbit, just the way you make reference of. 'Cause at the end of the
Uh
day, you end up catching no rabbits.
huh. Right.
Yeah.
Uh
So,
huh.
what role does understanding financial statement play in avoiding costly mistake, and how can non-finance person get better at reading them?
Um. So learn how to read the profit and loss statement. It's very easy. Okay.
Yeah,
And number one. And number 1A, keep everything very simple. So when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, right? My parents immigrated here.
yeah,
Okay. And um capital was very scarce and they didn't want to spend money. Okay. So with that mentality, I always thought that we were at a disadvantage because we were keeping everything simple. And I used to complain, I can't wait to get out of here and go work with people that have money, right? Because they're going to have all these systems and all these
yeah,
people and all this stuff and all this complexity. So when I was blessed and I did get the opportunity to go and see how these billionaires ran their empires, they were doing the same thing that my parents were doing. Very simple. Okay. They're not trying to go spend a bunch of money for what? Very simple, and make sure they're hitting their profit target. Right.
wow,
So learn, get a book. It's very simple. It's basic addition and subtraction. This much money came in, that much
yeah,
money came out. That's the most important thing.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Manny. So,
You're welcome.
yeah, could you walk us through your profit leak scorecard? How does it help identify where a business is losing money?
Oh, you've done your homework, eh? All right. All right. So the main thing, profit leak or call it margin leak, is those unnecessary or sometimes overlooked expenses, okay,
Yeah,
that occur in the business. So let's just take the plumber again. So he bought the truck, he's got his inventory, he's got a couple guys, so he's got, one truck on the road. Then he was doing the office work. Well, now he added somebody to the office. So now he's got to make sure that he put that cost in the bid because he didn't have that person before. Now
yeah,
he does. He had a 500 square foot office. Now he's got a 5,000 square foot office.
mm,
Does he have that? That's how the profit leak occurs, where you're adding these expenses and you're not capturing them in your costing equation because you're very busy.
mm. Wow, wow.
So
Amazing, amazing. I think it still boils down to the fact that you keep more like a account of everything that is going on within your business, so that as much as you are expanding, working on this particular stuff, those margin are being captured to in respect of yes, your employees, new employees are
yeah,
coming in. Those measures should be worked on too, so that at the end of the day, you are seeing how, yeah. I think it really speaks volume. Actually, more like sitting down to do your profit and loss time to see what is going in and what is coming out.
Yeah. So let's do another quick one. So usually you're trying to get, let's just say a 50%, 50,
Yeah,
50% gross profit margin. Okay. But you go out and you meet these people and you really want to, install the electric in the house and you're like, I'll do it for 30. Maybe you have some competitive pressure. You
yeah,
really should walk away from that deal,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You really should walk away. If you're finding business at a 50% gross margin, you should walk away from the 30 because all it's going to do is bring down your overall gross profit margin. And God forbid that you run into a problem over there
yeah,
because when you have a healthy gross profit margin, you have a cushion built in
yeah,
case, something goes wrong. So it doesn't put you out of business.
yeah. So true, so true. Yeah, so true. I think this really speaks volume to, yeah. So that even when trouble actually comes in, why execute that job? You can actually more like bail yourself out without losing yourself during the cost of the business. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So sometimes entrepreneurs feel pressure to match the growth of a big name company. What will you say to someone caught in comparison trap?
This is a good question. You're coming up with some excellent questions.
Thank you.
You can't compare yourself to anybody else. Everybody's journey, in my experience, in
Yeah,
life, that journey is different. In business, it's different. Why does one restaurant that's on this corner, why is it wildly successful? And the restaurant that's directly across the street is failing. Why? It's not the food. It's not because of the food. So don't compare yourself to anybody else because here's the thing, you really don't know how they're doing financially.
yeah,
Over here, we're looking at Aro and he's got a new car and he bought a new, bigger house and look, he's put his kids in private school. It might look like you're doing fantastic, but we don't see that you had to take on all this debt to do it,
yeah.
or that you lost a key client in your business and you're struggling. So run your own race, you know, run your own race.
Wow. Run your own race. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much, Manny.
You're
So,
welcome.
how do you personally help our business owner build resilience and feel forward when challenge hits?
Say one more time. What?
How do you personally help business owner build resiliency,
Oh
and
yeah,
fail forward when challenge hits?
yeah. It's not easy. Not easy. So there's a lot of conversations that take place, and they're
Yeah,
not easy. They're tough conversations, right? So you got to constantly tell that business owner trusts you as the advisor, right?
yeah,
So you have to share with them, hey, why do you want to put all this time and effort and capital into trying to grow this thing so fast, not make any money, and lose the business? What did you accomplish? And here in America, we have risk because if you borrow money, you have to give something called your personal guarantee to a bank.
yeah,
And if you don't pay the money back, you're going to lose everything. That's what's going to happen. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to take on this stress? Why don't you go slowly, profitably, build a business, have a cushion in it so you can sleep at night and keep the thing going? And one good customer is going to refer you, you're right, to the next customer, to the next customer. Before you know it, you're going to go from 10 customers to 100 customers. It might not happen in a year, but it might take 5 years. But you'll have a bigger company that's more profitable. Customers are happy, employees are happy. You're able to make your donations to your community, and you're happy. You're
yeah.
like the little girl doing the painting. You're having fun,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Thank you. So, looking
Mm-hmm.
at money, what is the failure or hard lessons from your own career that shape the way you actually consult today?
Oh, I've taken some losses. Oh, yes. I've lost money. in business ventures, in the stock market. And keep in mind, I had mentors that told me, don't do this, don't do that. Here's the risk. And these were billionaires, and I didn't listen to them. Okay, because I was a young guy, right? What you know? And then you get caught up, right? The stock market's going up, and everybody wants a piece of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so once you lose money, right? So when you come from another country and you start from zero, or you're bootstrapping, same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're bootstrapping. You just don't have the language barrier.
Yeah.
When you're bootstrapping, it takes a long time for you to save money to get your capital up so you can leave like that restaurant to go open your own restaurant. And when it fails, you got to start all over again. So it takes a certain amount of mental strength, you know?
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
once you lose money, your own money, then you don't want to get paralyzed by it.
Yeah.
But it really gives you a whole new perspective on, why you got to be on point.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think there's a level that comes with when you actually make mistake, and the fact that you're not learning from it or looking back from the inside, being that now you already have now more like a skin in the game. You already have more like a part of you that's alongside that previous business, which actually make it more like anytime you're actually more like beyond conversation, you look back, you know that I wouldn't want to touch that part again because it was really, really painful, and there was there was a whole lot of emotions and a whole lot of losses that actually went through during that period. So, Manny, you emphasize empathy in business. Why understanding the human side of entrepreneurship just as important as number?
Because we're human beings and we have to take into consideration everybody's feelings.
Yeah.
I learned that one the hard way. I wasn't as good. I wasn't a particularly good team player when I was younger. But as I got older and more mature, I learned that, without a team, you're not going to get much done, right?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can get done, on your own. And being sensitive to other people's feelings is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I read, from all these studies that are made, from all of the big universities and all of the major corporations, most employees don't feel appreciated. The simple thank you, Aro, thank you, you did a great job, thank you. That's more valuable than a raise.
Yeah.
Right? To some people.
Yeah.
So bringing empathy, being empathetic, in my experience, is right up there, right next to making sure that you got the costing right. Okay. And it's going to help you to attract good quality people.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think that this particular quote that I actually had in mind that make reference about feedback. How did they make it reference? Was it like feedback is more like an energy that sharp you're actually more like live with. Being that once feedback is being given, they were able to assess what they do differently, and that really helped a whole lot. Being that even when downtime comes to being, they get to kind of reminisce on those particular facts that you value them and you value their inputs every now and then compared to just the race, which simply means they are welcome being in your space and in your business. Yeah. So for young people listening, how can they learn business and financial discipline early, even if they are just starting out?
Experience. Go get a job. First of all, what do you like? There's another saying that you got to find your passion, right?
Yeah.
If you find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. Okay? So for me, of course, it took me a long time to find my passion. But anyway, to answer your question, if you have an idea, go work with the plumber. See if you like it. Go work with an accountant. See if you like it. Go work for the, heating and air people. Go dig some ditches with the concrete guys to put in foundations.
Yeah.
Go try to build a house. find out what your passion is and get some experience in it. You know, you might not like the the hard physical labor, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, physical labor is demanding. You are, you
Yeah.
know, if you're able to do that, you're in tremendous shape. People don't sometimes don't understand that, right?
Yeah.
So find something that you like, and then, you know, when you're young, you have time, so you can go and
Yeah.
test some different things, you know? Find what you like, find your passion,
Amazing. Amazing.
you
I
know?
think while you were answering that question, you were about telling us how you find your passion. I think my audience are more interested. How did you actually came to know your passion? What different jobs or roles do you actually take up before you get to find your passion?
I mean, I'm happy to share with you my story. I've had 50 jobs, 50 at
Woo!
least, at least.
Wow, I know.
Right? I mean, I did everything. I worked construction as a laborer, you know. I mean, start the list. You know, I did like 10 different jobs in a restaurant, you know.
Wow,
I worked as a laborer, you know.
wow,
Um I mean, I'm telling you, I've had at least 50 jobs. So,
amazing.
you know, I just did a bunch of stuff. Now, I was doing it for a reason because like I was trying to get through school, and then, you know, I never had any I always thought I was going to stay in restaurants my whole life, you know, and then I got a bright idea to change and go try something different, you know. But I was always doing something, you know, 3 months here, 2 months there, 6 months here. The only
Yeah,
thing that I had years in, I had 19 years in the restaurant,
wow.
right? So,
Wow, that
you
was.
know,
I think your experience just speaks volume to the fact that because uh, I feel a whole lot of young people today they are overly with these particular ideas. I need to find my passion. I need to discover what my passion is, and I think from what you just said, it just shows that you finding your passion does not come in isolation. It's it's something that comes from insights, owing to the fact that you have done some track record of a whole lot of particular stuff, and now you cannot sit down to actually more like yeah, I think at one particular point it just becomes so done on you that this and this is what I actually like, compared to just being somewhere you are not doing anything and you are looking in quotes a revelation of this is my passion. So
yeah.
I think you having a lot of experiences from here and there just speak volume to what you like and what you later come to stay with. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is not more of a constant battle between, because now you already kind of figure it out owing to the fact that you have a lot of experience in different roles.
Yeah, you never know what the future holds, you know?
Yeah,
As long as you know, not everybody's different. Everybody's different, right? If you're young and you have a lot of drive and you're ambitious, not everybody's like that, right? Not everybody wants to be the chairman of the board. That's okay. You know, remember, run your own race,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
But
if
don't chase all the rabbits,
yeah,
right?
so true. Yeah, so true. So if you could give one piece of advice to business owners today who feel like they are barely breaking even, what will it be?
Be patient, number one. Be patient. You're in business, so you already took you already did the hard part. You took
Woo!
the risk. Okay? So
Yeah,
be patient, don't be tough on yourself, and grab the darn P&L and the costing equation and
wow,
make sure it's right, because you can analyze it yourself.
yeah, amazing.
Okay? Remember how
This
you started before you became lavish. I want to use your word, right? Keep it
yeah,
simple.
amazing. Being patient. I think when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to handling business that have to deal with clients, especially service-based business, Well, I think being patient cannot really be overemphasized, being that everything now boils down on it. Because as much as I put in the necessary work, you need to feed the same synergy from your clients before you can actually go all out and
Mhm.
create some certain values. And the fact that you just make reference of it, you just speak volumes. It's not something that you can fast track. You just have to do your own thing, improve what you are doing, and actually more like work on a whole of lot of bases. And actually with kind of actually just being patient to see the results.
Yeah. You never know what opportunities are
Yeah,
going to present themselves. Stay positive,
yeah, thank you.
you know.
So and finally, where can my audience kind of connect with you or get access to your profile or your league scorecard and what how can they actually reach out to
Yeah.
do business with you and to actually more like
Sure.
reach out?
My website would be the best place. It's Portal CFO, PORTALCFO.com. And they could
Okay,
download
the
the
scorecard.
Profit League scorecard. And I've been blogging for a long time
Ooh,
about my experiences in business. So
amazing.
there's some good free information there.
Yeah,
So
amazing. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to include
mhm.
that on the show notes, so that my audience can actually just from the show notes tap into these very resources from your website. And yeah, it has really been an amazing
Thank you.
moment having this discussion with you. I was really say I actually enjoy every bit of it.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so
The
much.
feeling is mutual.
Yeah, Manny, thank you. Manny, thank you so much for breaking down what often feel like complex subjects into really practical advice. Your insight on avoiding root mistake, managing money wisely, and building sustainable business are exactly what many of my listeners need right now. To my audience, be sure to check out Manny's profile league scorecard at portalcfo.com. It could help you spot hidden issues in your business today. Until next time, remember growth is powerful, but only if it is sustainable. Keep building smart, keep believing in your craft, keep pushing forward. Yeah, thank you so much, Manny, for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Aro. I had a good time.